July. It's a very special day for us today. It is our 1-year anniversary since we had our big send-off from Prevent Breast Cancer at the Nightingale Centre, and we set off on our world cycling tour.
Yeah, so since then we've cycled through 17 countries. We've done roughly 9,000 kilometres and we are in our second continent. So our official date was the 9th of July, but we actually left our home in Thistleton on the 29th of June last year. The reason for that was...
we went up to the Lake District to test out our new trailers and test out riding our bikes with all the heavy weight on. And it was a good job that we did, because I struggled with my trailer, so I had to get rid of it at Lake Coniston.
Yeah, we camped at Coniston Hall campsite just on the shores of Lake Coniston. Yeah, it was what a great place to start the 7-year tour. So on Thursday the 29th of June we left our home at Keeper's Cottage in Thistleton, said goodbye to our lovely neighbours. To one side, June Campbell and Millie, and this is Millie, and this is June. and our dear neighbours on the other side, Nigel and Joan. But like I say, it was very emotional because we're not going to see them for a long time. These are our lovely neighbours.
Yeah. Oh, Nigel and Joan.
Bye. So we had a great send-off from the Nightingale Centre. We even had the ITV news there filming it.
Yeah, there was lots of friends and family all came to wave us off. A very emotional day.
How are you feeling this morning, Gabriella, as we cycle?
Absolutely amazing. I'm so excited.
We're cycling to the Nightingale Centre.
Let's do it.
I think she's a little bit nervous. It's either squeaky brakes or squeaky bums.
Are we on?
Yes.
Fair enough. Paul Crone, Granada Reports here. We're here with Chris and Gabby and Chris. They're not really doing much. It's 67 countries, 100,000 kilometres, but frankly, I'll do that in a week. But they've been very good. So that beyond Granada Reports, we've given them, just as a social experiment, we've given them 20 cans of Red Bull each just to see what it'd be like. So we're looking forward to it.
I'm off. I'm ready to go.
We're looking forward to it. I should be following them on social media. I'm not going. Am I mental? Am I mad? So we wish them all the best of luck anyway. Paul Crone, Granada Reports at the Nightingale Centre. Thank you.
Take care. Yeah. Thanks. See you all in 7 years.
Same time, same place, 7 years. Yeah. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Preparing to cycle across the globe for the next 7 years is a tough challenge in itself. For Gabs Gratrix, that task has become even tougher, having had breast cancer, a double mastectomy and chemotherapy in the last 12 months. Now, along with her partner Chris O'Hare, their epic upcoming adventure across 67 countries holds no fear for them.
I'm looking forward to Mongolia, living with the nomads, because I've seen it on telly and I've seen like the way they just live in the tents, and I just want to be like them, free, and the eagle hunters that are there.
The couple from Great Eccleston will be raising money for the Prevent Breast Cancer Research Unit at Wythenshawe Hospital and hope to collect £1 for every kilometre of their 100,000 kilometre journey.
She's actually a lot stronger than me. She's actually gone through this whole thing a lot. She's dealt with it a lot better than me. I've actually found parts of it really difficult, but I suppose we just work together, drive each other forward.
He could have just walked away at any time because we're not married or anything, but he's been a rock, and he is a bit like Superman, He-Man, Iron Man, or everything. He just gets on with it, and I suppose that's why I don't worry, because I know I've got him with me.
Every time she comes back to see me, she's always smiling. Always smiling. It's incredible. No matter what she gets knocked down by, she comes bouncing back.
Packing enough stuff to fit on 2 push bikes for several years is no mean feat. And after much angst and debate, Chris and Gabs reckon they've got it sorted.
We have...
Oh, that's like an 8-in-1. What's that?
That's Chris's eating bowl. That's Chris's spoon.
The spoon.
These are our cups.
And of course the
We've
frying
got to have
pan
the
for your
frying pan.
bacon and your
My
sausage.
bacon and my egg. That's from Chris's curry. He's got to have his curry.
Oh, he's got to have his curry.
I wish I had an inch, just a little inch of what they've got. They're amazing.
You and I don't know what we do in the next 7 hours, let alone the 7 years.
I don't know what I'm doing this afternoon, let alone 7 years' time. It's incredible.
And as they were given a superb send-off from the Nightingale Centre, we only hope Gabs and Chris have told their neighbours to put their bins out for them. Well, just for the next 7 years. Paul Crone, ITV News.
So obviously our first country being England, part of our UK tour was something called Meet the Mayor. Basically every town, village, city we went through, we met up with the mayors basically. So the first place we stopped at was in Buxton, where we met with the mayor Linda Gruby. Following day we cycled through Belper and we met the mayor Tim Sutton. I've actually got my notepad here because it's with it being a year ago I can't remember all the names. So then it was followed by Melton Mowbray, where we met with Prue Chandler. Market Deeping, we met Mayor David Shelton. After Market Deeping, we cycled through Peterborough, where we met with Chris Ash. After Peterborough, we went on to Cambridge and met with the Mayor Nigel Gawthorpe and his wife Jenny.
What they're doing is they're riding around the world on their push bikes to raise awareness for breast cancer and the prevention of. So their 5-year mission is to boldly go where no cyclist has gone before. So, and wishing them all the best for the journey, the adventures ahead, and Godspeed and a return home safely.
Great time in Cambridge, wasn't it? They had a music festival on, which we were invited to, and we even met Right Said Fred.
For predicting and preventing breast cancer. So you can please support them with whatever you want to give. You can do it through PayPal, I think. No, Just Giving, sorry. And you can check them out on Chris and Gabs worldcyclingtour.com.
From Cambridge, we went to Great Dunmow, where we met with
Barry and Margaret Easter.
Then on to Dartford. Again, we was at another music festival there. We met with the Mayor of Dartford, which was David Moat. After Dartford, we went to Westminster, where we met with Lindsay Hall.
Then we went to Snodland and met with Debbie King and the local primary school.
Yeah, hooray! And again, hooray!
We actually camped in their school field. And just last week, on Saturday, they kindly did a fundraiser for us at the Snodland Summer Carnival, where they've raised plenty of money, which is all going to prevent breast cancer. Then on to Ashford, where we met Jessamy Bamford. After there, we went to
Folkestone and met Anne Berry.
And finally,
last but not least, Dover, Ian Palmer.
So where have we been? What countries have we cycled through? So we're in our 17th country at the moment. Obviously started with the UK, number 1.
Well, it's the 24th of July and we are now at the port of Dover, where we will be later on getting on to the ferry over to Dunkirk. So this is our last few hours in the UK.
Number 2,
France.
Simplement ravi de vous accueillir à Dunkerque.
I'm very pleased to welcome you in Dunkirk.
Good luck.
Thank you very much. Number 3, Belgium. Number 4,
Netherlands.
Number 5, Germany.
Number 6, Switzerland.
Number 7, Italy.
Number 8, Croatia.
Number 9, Bosnia.
10, Montenegro.
Number 11, Albania.
Number 12, Macedonia.
Number 13, Greece.
14, Bulgaria.
Number 15, Turkey.
16, Georgia.
And that brings us to number 17, Armenia. We actually went to Armenia, but then we've come back into Georgia. We'll explain why. So our 16th country is actually Georgia, where we are now. But we've actually recently cycled into Armenia, where we went to the capital, Yerevan. But we've had to come back to Georgia. Reason being is because you can't physically get into our next country, which is going to be Azerbaijan, only by going back into Georgia. So we're back in Georgia, having a bit more rest and getting ready for our next stage. Where are we going next? So on the 5th of August, we're back on the road again, heading for country number 18, Azerbaijan, where we're going to go to Baku and get on the ferry to cross the, what's it called?
Caspian Sea.
Caspian Sea, on the famous ferry, which you probably have to wait about a week to get a ticket for. From there, where are we next?
Kazakhstan.
So we go through Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan through the desert. So this is going to be the toughest part of our tour yet, because it's just going to be extortionate heat with literally nothing but camels, I believe.
And a few is it sandstorms.
Yeah, so it's going to be tough. There's not going to be much around. It's going to be interesting. After Uzbekistan, we go on to Kyrgyzstan, through the mountains, and eventually arrive in China. From China, we then head to Mongolia is the plan. So all this, we plan to be around Mongolia for December, which isn't the best time as far as the cold weather goes. But anyway, from there we head to Southeast Asia. So in the new year we plan to be in Thailand. So we've cycled 9,000 kilometres, 17 countries, but it's took us 1 year, which really, that's a long time. Normally, we're keen cyclists, we'd cycle probably about 2-3 times that amount of distance in a year back home. But there's some reasons why it's taking us this long. So let us explain. Give us a reason.
Reason one has been the shocking weather. We've had a lot of snow, rain, strong winds. Some days we couldn't even cycle. Also, we've zigzagged across places like Italy. We spent a lot of time in Italy because there was a lot of places we wanted to see in Italy.
Well, for instance, Italy, we was originally on the plan, it was 2 weeks in Italy. We did 10 weeks. So because obviously we just wanted to see more and more of Italy.
We went over to Sardinia, didn't we?
Cycled
Spent
all
a couple of weeks on there cycling.
Same's happened obviously here in Georgia. We was only going to do 2 weeks in Georgia. By the time we leave on the 5th of August, we'll have done 3 months.
It's because we get to countries as well, isn't it? And places that you wouldn't normally go to, and you get there and they're surprising, aren't they? So you want to spend time and explore and find out more about the country. So we've spent a lot of time in each country.
But since we set off, obviously in Europe we haven't needed a visa, so you can take as long as you want. We've always been mindful of, eventually we need to get to certain countries at certain times because of our visas and because of the weather. But the first visa we actually needed wasn't until we got to Turkey, where you get a 3-month visa. We only actually spent 2 months in Turkey. But then Georgia, you can actually stay in Georgia for 12 months on the visa system here, but you
don't even need a visa, do you?
No,
you don't even need an e-visa.
You just get it re-stamped every 12 months. You don't even have to really go anywhere, do you?
No.
But the reason we've been in Georgia for so long is just to make the most of this last bit of rest, because once we leave here, we're on visas, which are all limited short visas, aren't they? So this is when things will change.
And we've got a lot of distance to cover in those visa times, isn't it?
On average you've got 30 days to do a lot of mileage as well in a lot harsher environments. No roads, it's just going to be like desert, it's going to be red hot, headwinds, you name it.
So we'll have to pick up the pace and probably cycle longer in the day to get from one border to the next border.
So that is the reason we've only done 9,000 kilometres, but we're in no rush. That's the thing. Other things that have slowed us down is we do a lot of filming, you know, taking photos, editing films. Everything just takes time, doesn't it? Even though sometimes we want to get through places quicker, you just can't really. And then it's obviously the fact that we're camping. That all takes time out of your day when you're camping, doesn't it? This is the longest we've actually stayed in. We're in an apartment in Georgia. Before I was in Georgia, we've just been, I'd say 90% of the time we've been in the tents, yeah. So we're making the most of that. So as we cycle through each country, we're meeting with various people, organisations. You know, we've been meeting up with Europa Donna, which is a cancer coalition. We've been meeting with radio, newspaper, TV news channels, which has been great for awareness for Prevent Breast Cancer.
It's good publicity.
Yeah, we had some good stories, wrote about our tour, but more importantly about our charity, Prevent Breast Cancer.
What are you carrying in our bags?
Carrying in the bags.
Everything, our lives. In 2017, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So I've had a lot of treatment, surgery, going through all that. It's part of our lives now and we want to make people aware.
I'm Chris, this is Gabs.
And we are Chris and Gabs WorldCyclingTour.com.
We're cycling 100,000 kilometres across the 7 continents of the world, raising awareness and funding for a charity called Prevent Breast Cancer.
And it's going to take us about 7 years.
So total countries we've done so far, we've done 15 countries. We plan to do 67. It's a bit of a funny number, but that's our route takes us through 67 countries. We was about to go on a cycling tour 2 years ago, and she just went for a routine checkup, and little did we know she already had breast cancer. So, but if it wasn't for a check-in, it would be a different story today. We've heard that our message of trying to make people understand how important it is about being, you know, breast aware. We've had a few people contact us, and they've actually checked themselves and found something, and then they've gone to get it sorted.
Because our charity Prevent Breast Cancer, their motto is to predict it, prevent it
and protect. Yeah.
So that's our mission. It's just spread awareness.
So now we're going to talk about bizarre, unusual moments, or however you want to say it, in each country we've been through. Not necessarily each country, but so what would you say bizarre, unusual?
Bizarre things for me are the places that we've camped. So we've had really bizarre places, haven't we? Like,
I've actually got my notes here again.
Like abandoned houses up in the middle of mountains. So, for instance, in Italy, we camped on the beach in a derelict house. It wasn't very nice inside, was it? There was lots of nasty things inside, which I won't mention.
Heroin needles, Durax, you name it.
And then we stayed in an old abandoned cow shed. Where else did we stay? Another abandoned house, top of a mountain.
Yeah, because throughout winter it was easier to try and find an old abandoned house. Like I said, the ones in Italy were everywhere, so we'd always just go in those, put the tents up. But that was a bit of a strange experience. Was the like den of inequity, I like to call it. There was another house in Albania. It was actually an old restaurant, wasn't it?
Yeah, the one by the river.
Where we put the tents up for the night inside because there was a big storm coming.
We had to clean it out first because it was full of glass, so we were sweeping it out.
So yeah, we eventually put the tents up. The storm did come eventually, but later on that night, it was about midnight, and we was in the middle of nowhere and didn't expect to see a car coming down the old dust track, and it parked literally 10 foot away from where we were camped. And it had a group of Albanian guys in there. Initially, they were just smoking some drugs, I think. But they didn't. Little did they know we were actually inside the house with our tents up. But it was pitch black. We were just sitting there hoping they were going to go. But eventually, they all got out of the car to come into the building. and I just they're obviously going to see us, so I just put my torch on them, and they had a
Scared them.
yeah. But it was all okay. But yeah, it was a bit of a hairy moment, to say the least. But we managed to survive another night, but we did get some unexpected visitors.
Yeah, there was what was it, about 11:30? Car came with about 5 guys in it, but they were all right. They only came
Just
to
came
have
to have a smoke.
and chill out in our patio, on our patio.
Yeah, I think it's a place that gets lots of visitors in the night.
So from Italy, we experienced a lot of wild dogs all the way through Turkey, wasn't it?
Go on!
And then we always seem to end up camping in and among the wild boars. So we kind of realised the areas that the wild boars lived in and knew to keep away from them when we saw all the paths and everything.
Well, we didn't. We did the
mud.
opposite. We didn't keep away from them. We literally camped on the trails that they made through all the reeds. We was always next to a lake, and there was always wild boar knocking around. But by all accounts, unless they see you, they're not really a threat. So.
The first time we did it was by a muddy lake, wasn't it? And we saw these big footprints, but we thought, oh, there'll be cows or something like that. But then little did we know, in the night, we were surrounded by the noises of wild boar.
Gabriella didn't actually know what they were, because as we set up camp, and I was in the tent, and I had managed to get an internet connection, so I just was trying to find out what breeds of animals are in the areas, and it was notorious for the wild boar, which live just in that area where we're camped, wasn't it? So then I read on more, realised how dangerous they can be, but it was okay. Just hoping we're not going to get a load of cows coming early in the morning, because there's only one way into the shore of this lake, and if you look at the muddy shores, I don't know if there are lots of cows' hooves, or could it be goats? It's more than likely cows. I'm hoping they're not recent. That'll be one wake-up call, won't it? About 50 cows trampling over the tent.
When we were in Sardinia, we couldn't find anywhere to camp. It was difficult because of the crash barriers on the mountain roads. So we managed to get over one crash barrier and camp up just on the edge of the cliff, wasn't it? By the water. So we're all camped up. I was ready to have my portable shower, and then these 2 guys came walking across with torches, and they were the police. Somebody had seen us, reported us, and they thought we were immigrants
come across on a boat.
Climbed up, up the mountain from a boat. But we explained what we were doing, showed them a flyer, and they just thought it was funny. They thought we were crazy because it was freezing cold. So they said we could stay there and enjoy ourselves and just leave the next day.
The other bizarre moment in Sardinia would have been the time we made a Halloween film in the forest, which we called the Sardinian Psycho.
We hid out in the forest for 2 days, wasn't it? Because it was
another storm.
Another
and it was
days of bad weather.
Again, it was actually the day before Halloween, so we thought we'd have a bit of fun.
Just to entertain ourselves.
And if you've seen the film, you'd probably understand why it was a bit bizarre. If anyone was actually watching, especially the police, we'd have probably got arrested.
In Turkey, we camped up off the side of the mountain pass in like the forest. So we set up the tent. It was cold, so we had this good idea that we were going to build a fire. So we built a small fire, which Chris calls a small fire, turned into a huge fire. So we tried to put it out, didn't we, and left it, went into the tent to go to sleep, and then we heard
it was fully under control.
It was under control. Okay. We heard a car pull up. Guys get out, and they were shining lights on us on the tent, shouting at us. So we're like, "Oh my God, what's happening? What's happening?" And I pushed Chris out of the tent, but it just turned out they were the forest rangers.
Yeah.
But instead of putting our fire out, they showed us how to control the fire, and then they built the fire back up for us. So they were, nice guys. They came with the shovels, weren't they? Shoveling the soil and the sand around. So yeah, nothing to be afraid of there.
Whilst in Croatia, one morning we were just packing up camp. I decided to get some great shots of the Adriatic Sea with my drone. So I just literally sent it up into the air, and it just decided to fly straight out to sea. And there was nothing I could do, just could not control it. I do believe there was some magnetic
Somebody took
pull.
it over.
Yeah, I think in Croatia maybe. There's something around that area, and it pulled the drone out to sea until the battery went, and I watched it just go plop, plop into the sea.
Never to be seen again. Often we get a lot of animals sniffing around our tent. One was when we were in Switzerland. We were camped up, and obviously I'd left food outside the tent, and then in the night we could hear something, and we set the camera up and watched, and it was a fox, and I had 6 eggs, and it gently just took each egg one at a time, ran off with it, obviously taking it to its cubs. Then it'd come back, take another one. It left no mess. It didn't crush the eggs or anything. It was really interesting to watch, and we caught it all on camera.
Another interesting experience would be, again, Switzerland, floating down the Rhine. I've never heard of this before, but people use the Rhine, especially in the summertime, as like a taxi service. They obviously start upstream. They have a dry bag with them. You can see businessmen, businesswomen, whoever, stripping off at the side of the river, putting all the clothes into a dry bag and just jumping into the Rhine, and then they just float down. When they see the workplace or the restaurant where they want to go, they just swim to the side. The showers at the side of the Rhine.
Yeah, there's lots of showers. Yeah, it was good fun, wasn't it? But it was a little bit dangerous because there was lots of boulders in the water that I kept hitting my legs on. Maybe I wasn't close enough in.
No, but that was.
But
really
it was good fun. That we enjoyed that.
So beautiful places.
Well, there's quite a few beautiful places, but the first that sticks in my mind was our 4-day trekking in Georgia, from Mestia over the snowy peak mountains, across rivers and lakes, all the way to
Ushguli.
Remote hamlet, Ushguli.
So that's like number 1, I think. No particular order these. Again, I've got my notepad, so I cannot remember all these. So yeah, Mestia, Ushguli. Fantastic place. She's a bit worried because if she falls,
Oh my God!
if she falls, just a bit of a drop down the mountain.
Not funny, Chris. Shouldn't people when they're having panic attacks? That's when they fall.
You're fine. I'm right here.
No, you just don't take this.
Gabriella's first experience scaling the side of a mountain. Snowy mountain. How did you find
No,
it?
it was horrible. It was traumatic, and that was the worst experience of my life ever. and I kind of got a panic attack, and I was panicking. I had to deep breathe because I just really don't like heights. I was doing really well, and then I just looked down and realised how hard up. Oh my god, it was stupid. That's for like experienced, professional plumbing.
Oh, you're a professional.
Climbers.
So she's come from just over there.
You know when you go all dizzy and...
So over this mountain, we've just been sort of clinging onto the edge of the mountain with a couple of
No, I'm not going to do that again, no. And now I've got to get down. I've just got to slide down.
So another beautiful place is Kotor Bay, which is in Montenegro.
Yeah,
Again,
this was a surprise, wasn't it? Because we hadn't heard of it, and we ended up by this beautiful lake, lovely villages. Yeah, it was really nice surprise.
which was actually the start of our winter as well, because it was getting severely cold
Yeah.
as we got higher and higher through the mountains of Montenegro. Yeah. Another favourite of mine is in Italy, but it's Sardinia. Again, it was just we were there out of season. The roads were quiet. There was no tourists, but the views were amazing.
Yeah,
weren't they?
you really like Sardinia.
Yeah.
This is one of my favourite places. It was when we camped up in Switzerland by the Lake Maggiore. We spent a few days there. It was great. It was the nice end of the nice weather, so we could swim in the lake. Beautiful views of the Swiss mountains. Yeah, I really loved it there.
Germany, the Rhine River again, an area called Loreley-Bleck, Lady Loreley. We spent quite a bit of time on the Rhine, didn't we?
Yeah, it was a really nice cycle route, wasn't it, all the way along the Rhine? And I think we just like being near water.
And it was
it's
flat.
Great when you're near water.
Cycling.
A lovely day here this morning. We're at St. Gall, still on the Rhine River in Germany, as you see behind.
A campsite called Loreley-Bleck. Loreley-Bleck, I think that's how you say it. There's the little flyer. Loreley-Bleck, great place.
Great campsite. You can just camp wherever you want, so we've got a great spot right on the water.
And as you can see, in the night, Gabriella's been very creative. We've got a flag for every country that we're going to be cycling through. There's even some flyers and wristbands. Help yourself. A little bit more promotional things on the front here. We have our banner and help yourself to a flyer. We have a castle just in the distance there. And here's Gabriella having her breakfast.
A nice chocolate croissant and a nice cup of tea. And the lady next door has just kindly donated us €20 because we've just been talking to her. And we told her our story and she got a little bit tearful. So we've raised €20 while I've been having my breakfast. And the money, someone gave us €10 a few days ago. So we collect it up and then we put it on the Just Giving page. Well, with Italy, where do you start? It's just a beautiful country. The Italian lakes, we loved it. We went to Lake Coniston.
Lake Coniston? I don't think there's Lake Coniston in Italy.
We went to Lake Como and Lake Garda.
Macedonia, Lake Ohrid. That was just as we'd left Albania. We dropped down through the mountains and what an amazing, stunning view.
We like our lakes because when you're camping you can go swimming and that's like your bath and you can have your washing there and it's great.
And we actually did as well, even though it was freezing cold. Yeah, not for the faint-hearted.
Through all the countries we've been through, we have cycled round loads of beautiful lakes. And we love the lakes because we can go swimming, you can have a wash, even if it is cold or warm. Yeah, we've come across a lot of beautiful lakes.
Lastly brings us to Turkey. We're not actually into buildings that much. We prefer more your natural, wonders of the world. Obviously mountains, all the scenery, the lakes. But yeah, the Blue Mosque was quite impressive in Turkey, in Istanbul. Same in Armenia. Yeah, it was okay.
But Cappadocia was amazing in Turkey with the...
But that's more of a natural wonder, really, isn't it? All the carved out mountains where people used to live.
The villages, in the mountains.
Right, most challenging places so far. Look at my list again. Well, I've got number 1 obviously being leaving home.
Yes.
Yeah, remember that?
Yeah, I remember leaving
home, cycling to the Lake District to test our kit. Obviously it was the most challenging, certainly for you, because obviously after all your treatment, it was the first time.
10 days later we set off.
Yeah, so back on a bike.
So
obviously cycling a bike that we've never cycled before with all that weight. My bike with trailer was actually 130 kilo when we set off. Yours was about 80 kilo.
I couldn't even cycle mine when I set off.
No.
It was just unstable, too heavy. No, it was dangerous.
And as you were cycling, as we were heading up to the Lake District with all this weight on your bike, all you're thinking is, oh my God, it's like, this is 7 years. It's like, so it was very daunting, yeah. So that was mentally the most challenging, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And here we are, Coniston Hall Farm. Made it!
Made it! Very hard. Very hard.
We like to think things got easier from there. This is the final, the A593. Here's a steep climb on the best of days. And what do I have in the bags? In the rear bags I've got like a tent poles there, and here I've got lots of camera equipment, laptop, all gadgets like that. In here, clothing, sleeping bag.
And this one is all my camping and sleeping equipment to keep me warm. And this has got my waterproof clothing and jackets that I can get too easy. Front one is my cooking. I have pots and pans. Pack away all your bedding and everything. Take that outside your tent. And then we make food, breakfast on the stove. Then we have to wash up. Then we pack all our bags. And then we take the tent down last.
How many hours a day do we cycle?
About all day, about 8 hours.
Yeah. You stop in and
stop, rest.
Taking photos, taking in, visiting places. But on average, it's about 8 hours a day. We've got a rough plan through the country, but then we just change it as we go, don't we? Because sometimes we find that some of the roads that are on the map are no longer there anymore. Use a Garmin. It's just a GPS device.
So we're funding it ourselves.
And how we funded it, really, we both quit our jobs, sold everything in the UK, and basically that's how we're funding it. Which brings us on to number 2, most challenging. I don't know, first of the climbs would have been really, apart from some of the hills in the Peak District as we went through the UK, it was relatively flat, wasn't it, the UK, but obviously then through most places up until we got to Germany. Black Forest area was the first mountains. Well, I say mountains, more of the hilly region that we reached, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So that was challenging again because we were still finding our cycling legs, really. In the heart of the Black Forest today, heading towards a place called Freiburg. Oh, it's a steep hill ahead, and lots of vehicles. Not good when you wobble it. Because I've got a trailer on, the bike weighted. It's actually heavier at the front, keep it stable, but I can't stand up out the saddle, just standing on the pedals, because I'd come straight off. Believe it or not, but this is actually quite comfortable, because it's a constant climb, steady, not too windy, so you're getting a rhythm. Here comes the wagon. Again, more climbing after that, which was really tough climbing, which was when we entered into Switzerland, because we had to come over. We cycled to the ski resort Andermatt.
Yep.
It's a 5-kilometre climb to Andermatt. These road roads.
We are now in Andermatt. In the winter, this is a very popular ski resort. So we've big climb all the way up to Andermatt.
But then from there, it was the famous Gotthard Pass, which is known as like the Scalextric, because that was so tough, wasn't it?
Yeah, you have to get your trailer up and over that mountain pass.
And the thing is, it doesn't matter how much weight you're carrying, you cannot, if you get off your bike and try and push it up a mountain pass, it's actually harder, because you're only using your upper body strength. Obviously your legs are stronger, so it's actually easier, if you could say that, cycling. Even so, you're going very slow in a really high gear, but it's very challenging. Yeah. Here we are at the top of Gotthard Pass.
Hey, I'm so happy we made it to the top, and I just love it when I get to the top.
That was hard.
Really, really hard, but we're here. There's a sign.
We came from Andermatt, 9 kilometres, but 2,106 metres. That was tough, and a lot of that on cobbled roads. So, oh my god. Same goes with Italy, just more mountains, mountain after mountain. We went to Sardinia. Never realised Sardinia was so mountainous. That was the most mountainous place really that we've been, isn't it? It was just mountain after mountain, but it was amazing, but it was really tough.
But we've noticed ourselves from the beginning getting fitter, and mountain passes not getting easier, but easier to get up. Because when I set off, when I saw a mountain, I was like, oh no, I can't do it. But then a few months later, you just don't think anything of it, and you just make your way up over the mountain passes.
Hence why when we eventually got to Pisa after Sardinia, we ditched some weight. I posted my trailer back to the UK, so I got rid of about 30-40 kilo. So my bike was only about 90 kilo now, so it makes a massive difference. And how do you feel on this fine Friday morning, Gabriella?
I want to cry. I feel sick.
We're going up a mountain pass, a big mountain pass today, up to our friend Cheryl's. What's the name of the place? Borselli. And as you can see, we're a bit more wrapped up now. We woke up this morning with frozen kettle, frozen clothes and tent. Everything that was wet was frozen. Good morning.
Morning. Legs aching, feeling sick, got a headache. Don't ever moan. But more climbing, more climbing, more climbing.
Having some
It's
sultanas.
still too heavy, but I can't get rid of anything.
And my chain's just snapped.
I'm pretty changed the snap.
Montenegro. Same thing again, really. Just climb, wasn't it?
Well, with Montenegro, we had all the snow, didn't we?
Yeah, because the weather, that made it more challenging.
Hailstones, rain, bad winds. This is when all the weather was kicking in, wasn't it?
From Kotor Bay in Montenegro, we had something called the Serpentine Pass, which is obviously named after a snake, because that's the shape of the pass. It's got something like 26 hairpin bends, and it's just so steep, wasn't it? But also the road was full of snow and ice, so it made it even more difficult. I think we only actually made it halfway up up the Serpentine Pass because it was getting late in the evening, wasn't it? And we had to just again camp in one of these old derelict buildings, yeah,
to shelter.
So yeah, it's challenging. Challenging as well is because certainly in the winter, your clothes are getting wet just because of the cold weather, isn't it? It's not that you're getting wet through the rain. You know, you've got waterproofs on, you name it, but you're still soaked underneath. So when you eventually camp up for the night, your clothes, you can't dry them unless most of the time we tried to make fires, didn't we, to dry the clothes, but there was just sometimes you could not make a fire. There was no wood anywhere, and you were just too exhausted. So in the morning you'd be getting your clothes which were frozen, and you just had to try and defrost them. You'd put your clothes in a bag, put them in your sleeping bag to just literally defrost them, but you'd be putting that back on,
trying to warm them up.
Cold, wet clothes, wouldn't you?
And you'd be trying to get dressed in your sleeping bag because it's too cold to get out your sleeping bag, isn't it?
Yeah.
To put your clothes on. Yeah, very difficult.
It's raining, plenty of snow, freezing cold. We've run out of water and the river is frozen up here, but luckily we have got snow.
I've got snow in my pan because I need some water. So I'm going to put it on the fire, which is pretty boiling.
Right on.
Oh, melt it.
That'll melt in no time.
Oh, I have my nice hot water.
Again, these countries, no particular order. We're not actually going to list them all off, but we've got Albania, same again. It's just same stories. Montenegro, climbing, the camping, the snow, the cold.
Cold weather, yeah.
It's just that's the biggest challenges. What did you say earlier?
I said a little bit earlier. Today's just one of them days where you're not feeling it. Not feeling my cycling. Just feel like I need a little day off. And I asked some advice from Chris, but obviously he's like a machine and doesn't know how this feels. He's like the Terminator, so he keeps telling me.
And so you need to rest.
I've had a rest, and now I'm going to continue up the mountain pass for like a laps.
Can I say? Right, come on, let's get on with it. Macedonia, same again. It was just getting worse. From Montenegro through Albania, Macedonia, Greece, we got a bit of respite. It wasn't too bad, even though we did get snow in Saloniki.
Yeah.
We woke up to just a blanket of snow in the city, didn't we? But we did have a couple of weeks just resting in Greece, didn't we? So that helped. But then after there, Turkey.
Because we left Greece thinking, oh great, the weather's changed, the sun's here. So we cycled to the Turkish border, and as soon as we crossed,
the heavens opened.
We hit terrible weather, and it was like that then for months.
We were greeted with like 80-mile-an-hour winds, headwinds, snow, ice. We had temperatures as low as -20. All this is, you're sleeping in a tent.
I always thought Turkey was nice weather. I didn't know they got snow and everything.
This is Turkey. Hailstones, snow, nothing for miles and miles. What's going on? The weather's just been like this for weeks.
And it's forecast heavy snow tomorrow. This is just...
I just thought Turkey was supposed to be hot all the time.
Well, it's freezing. I think out of 2 months cycling through Turkey, which was really tough because of the weather again, there's nothing... We can handle rain, snow, but when you've got a headwind for so long, especially when you're cycling over mountains, it was just really tough. And that's the reason we didn't really enjoy Turkey, because out over a 2-month period, it's safe to say we had probably 1 week of decent weather. The rest was just abysmal.
And the cycling as well, there was nothing, was there, for days and days. We were just up in the mountains. We might have seen a shepherd now and then. One day we had to stay in the tent for 2 days, didn't we? Because we got frozen in and there was a storm.
Looking back at with the recent film we made, it does remind you of what a great, experience it was going through Turkey. Like I say, half of it really why we didn't enjoy it was because it was just the weather. It was just so challenging on us.
And long, drawn-out roads with nothing for miles and miles.
But glad we did it.
Yeah.
Would we do it again? Yeah, we'd do it again. But Turkey will probably look very easy compared to where we're heading soon. So that brings us on to highlights. Highlights of the tour so far. Again, in no particular order. We're not going to go through every country, but obviously first one being in the UK, the mares. Again, we said earlier, we met up with numerous mares, didn't we?
Yeah, meet the mares was really great fun, and because Chris has spent a lot of time organising it and planning it, yeah, it was great fun to meet the mares that you'd been organising.
We did
for
something.
Ages.
We've not been trying to promote this lately, but we've got something called Fluffy Puffs marshmallows. I don't know if you've seen them, but basically what it is, it's a packet of marshmallows. Inside the marshmallows is a breast aware card. So it's basically just got some diagrams in it showing you what to look out for with early signs of breast cancer.
Yeah, it's just a little pocket size.
And the caption is Fluffy Puffs marshmallows, how do yours feel? So basically, as we went through each town, whatever city, each mare that we met, we presented them with a packet of their very own Fluffy Puffs marshmallows. They're also another proud owner of Fluffy Puffs marshmallows.
With this very important Be Breast Aware booklet in here.
My wife had breast cancer and she died 4 months ago. I would encourage people to support a preventive campaign for breast cancer and blokes for testicular cancer. And I think it's really important, and excuse this, feel your bits regularly. You're not too young, you're not too old to check your breasts. But guys, check your testicles. These things are preventable, curable, if you look after yourself.
Yeah, that went down quite well, didn't it? That was the highlight of the UK anyway.
Yeah.
Umpa lumpa dumpity doo, we've got a perfect message for you. Umpa lumpa dumpity doo, if you are wise you'll come and help me.
We've just finished making Chris and Gabs Fluffy Puffs marshmallows. For more information, visit Fluffy Puffs website at fluffypuffsmarshmallows.com.
To receive your Fluffy Puffs marshmallows and your very own pocket guide on how to be breast aware,
visit www.fluffypuffsmarshmallows.com.
Again, refer to my list. We have, what about the Netherlands? That was
Netherlands. Yeah, there was this famous roundabout in the sky. So it's a roundabout in the sky for cyclists.
Yeah, it was the Hoven.
Bicycles
it's called the Hoven Ring, basically, because it was in Eindhoven. Eindhoven, where the beer comes from. Germany. Highlight of Germany. It was as soon as we arrived in Germany. Brings us to
as soon as we came into Germany, we stopped at a bike shop. The first person we met, who was the lady in the shop, Maria, and she said, "Where are you staying the night?" And we said, "We don't know." And she gave us her address.
She said, "Come and stay with me."
Come and stay with me. So we spent a lovely evening with her. She made lovely food.
Amazing,
we had a great breakfast. We met a friend. What's he called? Bert. Yeah. So great memories of Maria and Bert.
It's very, very interesting. Well, they weren't a couple; they were friends. But great food, great wine, great beer. What a great start to Germany. Meets Maria, Maria and Bert. Could you say something in your own native language, please?
Ich kann kein Deutsch.
Can't speak German?
I enjoy that you are here. Ich freue mich, dass ihr hier seid. I'm so happy.
So then Switzerland.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
Mentioned this before, but Switzerland was where I camped up at Lake Majuri, and we had a fun time doing a cooking programme.
Yeah. Chris and Gabs Saturday morning kitchen. You might have seen the film. But yeah, we had good fun doing that, yeah. We didn't want to leave.
And I love that area. I would go back there.
Yeah, recommend there for your holidays. Lake Majuri.
Good morning.
And welcome to Chris and Gabs Saturday morning kitchen.
We are live from the beautiful Lake Maggiore in Italy.
So we're going to prepare today's lunch, which is
risotto alla Rizzino. Mario Rizzini.
4 corn on the cobs, 7 plum tomatoes, onions, pumpkin, green tomato, and then there's 15 small carrots, 1 lemon or clove garlic, 2 eggs, chickpeas, sultanas, risotto rice, red chilies, black pepper, butter, salt, and water.
And there we have it, our risotto alla Verdia.
vegetable risotto.
So Italy, I'm sure it's Gabriella's favourite.
This is a big highlight for me. In Pisa, my family came over to visit. My mum, my niece, my cousin, my auntie, and Chris's son Jacob.
It was good. Yeah.
11:20 on the 14th of November. Super excited because in a few minutes' time, my auntie, my cousin, my niece, and Jacob's son are all arriving. I'm super excited. I don't know about Chris.
Can't wait.
All the in-laws are coming. Chris's son. This is my absolutely gorgeous mum, Stella Gratrix. This is my beautiful, super intelligent niece, Poppy. Hi. This is my very special auntie, Irene. This is my lovely cousin, Julie.
So yeah, it was good. It's a highlight. Another highlight was as we were cycling in Italy. It was just before we arrived in Florence. Every now and again we knock on, if we can't find somewhere to camp, just in like the wilderness, we knock on somebody's door. So this time it was the door of a church. So we knocked on the door and we met priest Ariane.
We were in Monte Piano.
Monte Piano, yeah. We are here with Ariane.
Yes.
Who's
the parish priest.
This is where we stayed last night.
Yes. Santa Maria Assunta di Monte Piano, because there are many Santa Maria Assunta. You know?
So that's what the village is called, isn't it?
Monte Piano, flat mountain.
Oh, is that what it means?
Yeah.
Flat mountain.
Wasn't
It wasn't
so
flat
for
for
us.
us.
Thank you for letting us stay.
Yeah, thank
Okay,
you.
no problem. Come back again.
Priest Arian is originally from Albania, so he looked after us that evening. But he said to us, when you cycle through Albania, basically stay with my friends, the sisters at the convent in a place called Skodra. Which we did. So that was what a great highlight, and we've stayed in touch ever since. We actually WhatsApp Priest Arian.
Yeah, and that's our highlight of Albania, wasn't it? Staying with Sister Vera.
Yeah.
Sister Spring and all the girls at the convent. We were there about 3 days, weren't we? And yeah, great experience there. We loved it. We didn't want to leave them.
Yeah, they taught us local traditional Albanian dance, not Armenian, Albanian dancing. To my embarrassment.
We had a good few parties.
Yeah, parties that I've never been to before.
change your thing, come here.
Ah, then come back.
Yeah.
Understand me?
Yeah, if it
Okay.
gets worse.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye. Goodbye.
Greece, right? Greece. So going back to when we cycled through Germany, we went through Dusseldorf, stayed somewhere and met a guy in Dusseldorf called Nico, and he told us his daughter lived in Saloniki in Greece, and to get in touch once we arrive in Greece, basically, and so we did. So in Greece we spent a couple of weeks, didn't we?
Yeah.
Staying with Nico's daughter, the lovely Ellen. So we stayed with her in her apartment.
With us for over a week in the Saloniki, Greece. A long time. And now they're leaving me. And now we're going to say goodbye. It's very sad. Try not to cry.
Bye.
Turkey, obviously, I've got here, yeah. Cappadocia.
Yeah, Turkey. Our highlight was Cappadocia. And what made it extra special, we met a great couple from the US, Dallas and Hannah. So we spent about a week with them, just having a good time.
Even went skiing.
Yeah,
in
we
Turkey.
went skiing, we went on dirt bikes. Yeah, so we had really good fun with
Did
that
you know you
couple.
could ski in Turkey? Neither did I.
Introduce you to Dallas.
Hey, what's going on, team? Just snowboarding in Turkey, no big deal.
Yeah, that was great, the skiing. I loved it. Because I hadn't skied for about 12 years.
We're here in Cappadocia. Been here since 4:30 in the morning, waiting for the balloons to take off.
Really close.
Tell me, can you hear me now? Can you hear me crying out like an animal out in the wild? I shout your name into the night. Tell me, can you feel it too? Feel the love just like I do. Only you can make it right. I shout your name into the night. Ooh.
And finally, brings us back to where we are now, Georgia, and that takes you back to what you said earlier. So it was the trek. The highlight of Georgia has been the trek up to Mestia to Ushgu.
Yeah,
the 4-day
that was
trek.
phenomenal. Yeah, you just didn't know what to expect, but the scenery, everything, the views, the little villages. It was brilliant.
4-day trek.
Highly recommend coming to Georgia to do that trek.
As we're cycling, wasn't very prepared, so we had to trek in cycling shoes. So I've still actually got blisters from the trek, which was
very sore feet.
3 weeks ago, I think it was.
Yeah, the last day of the trek, I don't know how I got to the end of it.
It was a 65-kilometre trek, but it was up some big mountains, snowy mountains. Today's latest fashion modelled by Gabriella, socks and sandals.
For a reason.
Somebody's got blisters.
You always make it out like it's my fault that I have blisters. Like I've done something really wrong to have blisters.
You should take care of your feet more.
We've gone walking on a 4-day hike in our cycling shoes. And you can't say you haven't got bad feet. I don't know.
Don't know if you've seen the video of Gabriella having
I had a little
attack.
panic attack on top of a... No, but it's not just a mountain. It was like...
It was
what do you
tough,
call it? Just so high.
So that's our highlights. Right, we've got another one. Inspirational stories. Let's make this a quick one.
Oh.
So inspirational stories again. I'll go first. Is in the UK. Again, no particular order, but this is one, a good one. It was so when we first set off, it was just in between our Meet the Mares. We stopped in I can't remember the name of the place. It was actually Barn Oldswick. I think it was. We were cycling back down from the Lake District on our way to Manchester for our big send-off day. So we'd stopped outside a shop to get some water. So the bikes are outside with the flags on and a website, everything. There's a lady sat at a bus stop. Anyway, she came talking to us and she explained to us earlier that morning she was in the shower and she found a lump in one of her breasts, but she just thought nothing to it, thought it'd be okay. Wasn't going to do anything about it, which then she explained to us after reading our website and then chatting to us about our charity, what we're doing all this for. Later that day she went and made an appointment, and so since she'd been referred to a breast care clinic, and it all went from there basically, and it was something that she was going to leave.
Yeah, and she kept in touch with us, didn't she,
so
to let us know how she was going on.
So that's what makes it all worthwhile. Although fundraising is very difficult when we're out on the road, we do find it hard to fundraise. But one thing that is easy is flying the flag for prevent breast cancer. So the awareness for breast cancer is very easy. You know, we do little talks. Just the fact that we wear T-shirts with the Prevent Breast Cancer logo on, and people go on our website and ask, it's just...
Then they go on Prevent Breast Cancer's website, read about what they're doing, read about prevention and
and what?
Prevention, prediction.
But yeah, there you go. So inspirational story number one was, like, for me, that's what makes it all worthwhile, and with it starting from day one, it's just something you don't forget. Turkey, where we met Gulçin.
Yep. Gulçin was part of Europa Donor of Turkey.
We met her in
Istanbul. She came to where we were staying, and she had a great story. She was travelling the world with a partner on a motorbike, and obviously then she found a lump, came back to Turkey, got checked. So when we met her, she was going through a chemotherapy. And then she was getting back on the road in May, wasn't she, after all the treatment?
She's back on the road now. She's still undergoing treatment every 3 weeks. So it's like Gabriella's story. She's having to fly back from wherever she is in Turkey to have her treatment that day, and then she goes back and carries on with getting ready again to continue motorcycling around the world. But yeah, another inspirational lady.
She was a great lady. She was dead bubbly, really outgoing, and she did talks for cancer. She did talks for Europa Donor in Turkey.
I'm sat here in Istanbul with 3 breast cancer survivors.
These are our friends, we met them this morning, and
Samar'dan from Europadona, Turkey, and through Europadona, UK, I met the lovely couple Chris and Gabriel cycling through Europe for creating breast cancer awareness. And on the other hand, my long friend Gülçin, as well as my brother's patient, just again more than coincidence, the 3
lots of coincidences.
Yes, lots of coincidences. Actually, it's a miracle to be here with the lovely group talking about breast cancer and creating so many projects all together.
Hello, this is Gülçin. To be honest, I was traveling around the world with my lovely darling, and then we take a news that I'm a breast cancer. So we came to Turkey, and I did all the treatments. I don't want to say everything, there's a long time, it's a part of them, but we will turn back again the road very soon, and I'm so happy to meet them, to see similar, just not the cycling way, we are riding. I believe we will see them on the road again, and it's amazing to see them. It's to love everything.
And it's great to meet you.
Figure out.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Support this couple. They are amazing. Amazing.
And so are these.
Bye-bye.
As we were cycling through Croatia, we met a couple from Japan. A guy called Kai. He's been on the road for 8 years cycling, just living from his bicycle. He's been all over the world. He's currently he's in Egypt, but we bumped into him twice. First of all, Croatia, and then it's a small world. We suddenly ran into each other in Albania. Yeah. And he's, like I say, he's now over in
and we keep in contact with Kai because he's been all over every country. So if we need any info or we're just worried about something or we want to pick his brains, he's really good, isn't he? Because we just message him and he messages back, because he's a mind of information, because he's been travelling for so long. And his bike is loaded up, I think, a bit worse than ours.
Yeah.
Same as ours.
Yeah, Kai, you could be a lot tidier with your setup.
I do think he has everything and the kitchen sink on his bike.
Yeah. That brings us on to lastly, here in Georgia again, Anna from Europadona, who we met with. Again, as we go through each country, we're trying our best to meet up with as many Europadonas as we can. So
she's based in Tbilisi, the capital, and she does great work for the Georgian women, doesn't she? Spreading awareness for breast cancer, and she also tries her best to raise money for women who haven't got enough money to pay for the next treatment.
In Georgia, you don't, unlike in the UK where you get everything paid for by the NHS, how lucky are we? In majority countries we go through, you've got to pay for it yourself, or basically, unfortunately, you're going to die. It's something that can be stopped so early, like breast cancer, if it's picked up early enough, isn't as easy in the likes of Georgia, Armenia. You've got to pay for it yourself, because we met a lady, didn't we, at one of the meetings, and two ladies. One lady was having to fund her own chemotherapy. It's a few $100,000 for it's a few $1,000s for each cycle of chemotherapy. She only had enough money to pay for her next 2, which she needs ongoing treatment. Another lady has bone cancer. She needs €25,000 to pay for a treatment. And when you take into account the average wages in Georgia, well, in pounds, are roughly about £140 a month, and she needs €25,000 to pay for this treatment. So clearly that isn't good news, is it? So yeah, inspirational Anna from Europadona, Georgia. close to the end now of our list. What's this one? Oh yeah. What do we miss from home back in the UK?
The one and only thing I miss from home is...
Fish and chips? Was it fish and chips?
My mum.
Oh. I thought you said it was fish and chips,
No,
then your mum.
it's my mum.
Oh. And mum. But she does phone her mum every day, maybe twice a day, 3 times a day. She phones her mum every day.
I'm making the most of it for when I get to them countries where I can't phone her 3 times
But we
a day,
have said to her
twice a
mum,
day.
you know, we're in Georgia for 3 months. We've got a place here.
Don't pick on me, mum.
Come and stay with us, but maybe your mum just doesn't miss you as much as you miss her. Of course, I miss my 20-year-old son, Jacob. He was actually 20 just a few days ago, yeah. So again, he's welcome to come out and see us, you know. We saw them all in Pisa in when was it? November last year. So I probably won't see Jacob till he says China. So we'll see. It's either going to be China or Southeast Asia. He'll fly out and see us anyway. Your mum? Well, I don't know if you'll see her again. She speaks to her on the phone every day. So if you can help us in any way, you know, we really do appreciate your support. Supporting us can be simply as easy as just sharing our page, our social media pages, website. Obviously, more importantly, if anybody can donate to our charity. Remember, we're 100% self-funding the entirety of this tour, so every penny raised goes direct to prevent breast cancer.
Or if you'd like to do a fundraiser for us, that'd be great as well.
Yeah, again, just like we said earlier, Snodland have recently done a summer carnival for us, which has raised, you know, so much money for the charity. It's, you know, we really appreciate that type of thing. They're also doing everything they raise at their Christmas fair. Again, it's just all these little things make a big difference.
So we've had a great 12 months cycling across our 17 countries. We've made great memories, great experiences. So here's to the next 12 months.
So we'd like to dedicate the last 12 months of our cycling tour to 2 special people who sadly are no longer with us. The first one being Patricia Appleton.
Yeah, she was our very, very best friend. We did so much with her outdoor activities. She did mountain climbing with us, canoeing, running, cycling, you name it, she did it with us, and we miss her terribly.
And Gabriella and Patricia actually went through the cancer battle, the whole journey together, didn't you? Went through it all together, the chemotherapy, everything. But sadly we lost Pat. It'll actually be 2 years this August to the day, won't it, when you finished your chemotherapy. And secondly, to the great Nigel Gawthrope. He was the mayor of Cambridge. Like I said, sadly he passed away several months ago, but what a great guy.
We met him briefly, didn't we, for a couple of days, and we had such a good time with him and his wife. They were a great couple, and we kept in touch with them. So in memory of him, we'd like to dedicate this film as well.
So we'll see you soon. The next videos will be made from the deserts of Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, you name it. Let's see if we survive the next stage. So, goodbye from Georgia. Thanks for watching.